Why is no one talking about The World Is Still Beautiful? Not the actual world, but the show, The World Is Still Beautiful, which is a shoujo that was animated by Studio Pierrot all the way back in 2014. I guess it got overshadowed by things that came out in 2014. What came out in 2014? Al No Zero, Sword Art Online Season 2, Tokyo Ghoul. I guess it got overshadowed by those, but like, this is real good. It's really good. I mean, a little racy. I mean, the manga version's more racy than the anime. In the anime, okay, let me explain the plot for those who don't know about The World Is Still Beautiful. The World Is Still Beautiful focuses on our main girl, who's a princess, which I will put her name somewhere here, because I'm blanking at the moment, and it's not because I don't like the show, it's because I just am not good with names in general. But Princess someone, Princess someone, appears, is summoned, well, she loses a rock, paper, scissors battle to get sent to marry the Sun King, who has taken over the world, basically. And she's sent to marry him. And the twist is, spoilers because there's a first episode twist and I'm spoiling for you now, but it turns out that the Sun King is actually just a little kid. Well, he's supposed to be a little kid. In the manga, he's supposed to be 12 and she's supposed to be 17, which is a pretty big age gap for that. It's like, that's like 5 years. When you're older, it doesn't matter. But like in that exact moment, yeah, it's a pretty big age gap. In the anime, they age him up to 15 to make it less weird. But she still calls him a kid and he's still small. So the dialogue doesn't work. But that's a minor complaint. But anyway, and the story is just basically about them falling in love with each other. And also she has this power to summon the rain, and he's in the Sun Kingdom, and there's not a lot of rain there, and rain isn't really prominent anywhere but where she's from. And she summons the rain by singing a song, and then the Sun King and her, they get closer over time, and because it's a romance. And the thing is, this is a shoujo. And the thing is, if you've ever, well, you probably don't know this yet about me, but I don't like shoujos. I mean, I'm not going to say I hate all shoujos. I love Lovely Complex. I love Wallflower. And I like Ouran High School Host Club. I give that a 7. And I like Shirayuki Hime. I give that a 7. But shoujos like Say I Love You, or Kami-sama Kiss, or most of these things, I don't particularly like them at all. And they're not aimed at me, so I'm not really supposed to. I guess you could use that excuse. I'm not the demographic. But the thing is, I also believe that you should be able to enjoy any demographic if it's good. And that's why I like the good shoujos. I just have a personal thing against My Love Story. Everyone loves that show except for me. I can't. It's just too boring. There's no conflict ever. And the conflict that there is stupid. I gave up a few weeks into that show when it was airing. But the World Is Still Beautiful is like just really good. It's really good. It's a short 13 episode show that's like quickly paced. It just moves right along. Their relationship, you could say it develops a little fast, but I think that's probably just you being too used to anime taking a whole season for someone to realize that they like a person and not them being able to actually open up to each other pretty early on. And the thing is, a reason I don't usually like shoujos, I just hate how the guys are portrayed, probably how girls hate how girls are portrayed in shonen shows. They're unreal to me. They don't feel like no guy would actually act like that. Thing is, with the Sun King, it's a special circumstance. His mother was killed at a young age, and he was always ostracized, but he was really powerful, and he climbed his way up, and he is this, and he took over the entire world. He didn't take over only because he just needed to distract himself from thinking about the dark things, thinking about the things that make him sad. He needs to distract himself. And he was kind of, he was low-key evil. I mean, he wasn't completely evil, but he's selfish, and he's egotistical, and he's not narcissistic, I wouldn't say that, but the world revolves around him, because it does. So he has that. So when she comes into his life, and she isn't taking none of that shit, it kind of he loses a little bit of his persona a little bit. I mean, he's still the same person, and he has trust issues, real trust issues, since everyone has always been like against him, and he doesn't really have any friends, and he can't really get too close to anybody. He has major trust issues. He does some things that are not okay. And I understand if you watch the show and you feel uncomfortable by his actions in the early part of the show, and even in the mid part of the show, how you could feel uncomfortable by his actions, because his actions are sometimes not okay. They're not okay. But you're not really supposed to see them as okay. So that's fine. So that's fine on that front. But the show overall, it has a good supporting cast, and it also has this one trick that I wish more shows would use: the OP. The OP changes with the story. The first OP, they don't want to spoil the Sun King, so the OP's just her, and it's pretty empty, and it's pretty bland, and it uses some uncomfortable shots to cut the Sun King out. And then later, when they add him in, it's still just him and her, nothing else. Then more side characters get introduced. Then they start appearing in the OP, and then and as she gets comfortable, she's wearing an actual dress instead of wearing her other normal clothes, and it just keeps on building and building and building. More characters are introduced with different points in the story, and then by the end, the OP is a different like, not a completely different OP, but it's different from the first OP. It's changed, and just like how the characters have changed by the end of episode 12. They're different. They're not different characters, but they're slightly different people. They've grown up a little bit over the course of this show, and it's great. It's great. I love the show. It made me feel good. I was invested in this romance, even though it's kind of racy, and it's like, I wish it was a translated manga so I could read the rest. It's like, when a shoujo is really, really good, it usually ends up being really, really good to me. But like, this show's not perfect. It's a low 9 out of 10 because of a bunch of technical issues. The animation's pretty bland, and its directing isn't really anything special. And they sing the same song for the rain over and over and over again. But the thing is, in the last episode where the grandma is blowing her away and sending her off, that actually made me tear up because of how dramatic it was, and like, so they could use the songs effectively and sometimes the songs were used pretty effectively, but they do sing it almost every single freaking episode, so sometimes you're like, singing in the rain, I'm tired of hearing you singing in the rain. Sing a slightly different song at least, that'd be nice, but that's extra, but like that's what holds it back. And then there's also the audio mixing is bad. I mean, it's like they used bad microphones, because it sounds like a 90s show. Not a 90s show. I watched Gunbuster recently. I'll probably cover that in this Anime Everyday thing. But, like, it sounded like Gunbuster. And Gunbuster came out in the 80s, and they have this microphone quality that makes it sound weird. Like, it's kind of echoey. It's kind of bad mic quality. Is just not, you could excuse it because it's an old show and it's old recording, and that's how old shows sound. But this show came out in 2014, and it seems like it came out way before then, and that's very annoying to me, because I got used to it after listening to it for so long, but it was really jarring hearing the but it sounds like they're in a room. It sounds like they're in a room when they're not in a room. And that's not how these things sound. That really annoyed me. If the ending didn't make me cry, this show would be an 8 out of 10. It really would. But because the ending actually really worked and actually was cathartic, it worked. I'm trying not to spoil any major developments in their love or anything, but because I really, really, really want you to watch this show. The show is on High Dive. I don't know if it's on Crunchyroll because I watched it on High Dive because High Dive's amazing. High Dive, sponsor me. I'm cool. I use your service. It's amazing. Some few adjustments can be made, but like at that Roku app, people have been asking about that. But like I'm on your side, High Dive. I don't need Crunchyroll or Crunchyroll if you really want. I mean, like, I could get a subscription from you, but it's nothing. It's nothing. But Funimation, that's where I use you guys all the time. But yeah, just go watch on High Dive or Crunchyroll. The world is still beautiful. It's beautiful.